What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Thursday, April 13th, 2023. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. I appreciate you all very much. Thanks for being here with me. I hope your week is going swell. I hope everybody's doing outstanding. Well, if we look at the astrology today, we're going to see this moon finish up in Capricorn. It is going to make early in the morning on the West Coast, like pretty much midnight. So, right, pretty much just turn the chapter to April 13th. On the West Coast, we get the third quarter square between the moon in Capricorn to the sun in Aries. Of course, this is the third quarter, square trying to close out an Aries lunation cycle, but it's not really, because in just a week from now, we do get a lunar eclipse at 29 Aries. So I'd say, oh, we're closing out the Aries, we're getting ready to, but we're not. It's kind of like the beginning of the end kind of thing, if you will. But we're like just getting started, I guess, with this identification, which is fitting with Jupiter here, and it's fitting, in a lot of different ways. And the identification of even just Pluto in Aquarius, there's so much new energy. It's fitting that we're getting, of course, 2 new moons in Aries and one being a solar eclipse. Like, we're getting thrown right into, all of this new energy in many ways. So with this third quarter square, it's kind of a little bit of yesterday, right? It is a little bit of that, like, all right, well, there's absolutely things that have to get initiated. We're not going to get anything done if we don't start. But it's also a third quarter square between Aries and Capricorn, so it almost feels like a setback. It almost feels like there's this tension between like feeling like something needs to really happen, but it's almost like, well, what are we doing so much of that's taking us away from maybe the new beginning? Maybe we're focusing and putting too much intention on desires even, because the moon's going to ingress into Aquarius, right around 1 on the West Coast, and it's going to conjunct Pluto at 0 Aquarius. So we're at a place where we also have to, check ourselves. Where are we getting too emotionally tied up? Is it around certain things that we're committing to? Do we have to be able to kind of peel back? What can we change? What can we, identify that isn't taking us up the mountain in our life? What do we feel like we've hit a stalemate at? I think that's good. That's a good question, because we can go way too deep and obsess and be like, well, I really want to be connected to this. I really need this. And that will be a really bad loop with a moon in Aquarius at 0 degrees with Pluto. And I think this is something we're going to have to get used to. But it's teaching us that, like, we have to be able to peel back and be objective and like really see things for as they are. And to know that it's helping us make these unique changes or helping us shift things. And it's giving us a lot of deep emotional intelligence that we can relate to. And it's going to happen in our own sort of unique way at the same time. But definitely one of those days where I think the intensity can be ramped up in such a way that it helps us peel back and see the bigger picture, and helps us, learn that it's good to attach, but we also have to really work on not being attached to a lot of different energies in life, whatever that may be in our own personal life. But we're learning how to be more objective, and I think get the understanding and the identification, and to know that nothing in life is trying to stop you from your growth and your evolution. Everything's only trying to stop you from what you've already reached that point in. You've already, if you're seeing just nothing but stop signs in some area in life right now, it's because you've already reached the top of that peak, and like you can't just like create a new peak right now. Like that peak doesn't exist. So it's like, actually we have to figure out how we're getting down the mountain instead of how to continuously climb up this theoretical mountain in our lives, if you will. So I think that's a part of this, and like getting, in touch with the healed essence of our own egos and our identifications, and being okay with the depth of feeling that comes even from not being attached. Because even when we say we're not attached, like, there's still feeling that goes into that. But we have to get used to it and start to adjust in different ways. The moon will also, before it gets to Pluto, make a sextile over to Neptune. Not bad. So I think that the morning, it does kind of come with that third quarter square, but most of us will probably be asleep, and then we can wake up. Maybe it's some pretty cool dreams. Could be a vivid, morning, vivid imagination, maybe thinking of all these different ways that we can reach certain goals in our life, only by midday to come to that realization that it was just a dream And I think that it's okay, and I think it's good to still use imagination, still to dream, but the uniqueness and the different ways of, approaching situations in life could come up today where it like tests us. Can we go deeper and come to some kind of a emotionally mature and intelligent way to get what we need out of life, but from a more healed place. Then that moon's going to make a nice trine over to Venus in Gemini at 4 degrees later in the evening. And, that's such an interesting one because it conjuncts Pluto in Aquarius, which is the ruler of the South Node in Scorpio, and then it makes a really nice trine over to Venus in Gemini, the ruler of the North Node. So, in Taurus, of course. So it's almost like we do have to go through this intense, process. It's some kind of a deep feeling, but we ultimately get there by, I think, coming to some kind of an intellectual understanding from objectivity or from conversation, or being able to express, things that we might even have fears around. Anytime we can like come to some place where we resolve or conversate, or even if it's just with ourselves, have like that, disconnected from maybe the outcome, but knowing that there is a future and there is forward momentum, even if it does feel like, ooh, getting disconnected. Does that mean I'm taking steps back? No, it just means that there's another side to the mountain that we have to traverse, and it's a different direction than we're used to. And that doesn't mean that it's the wrong way, or doesn't mean that it's, not, you climb a mountain, you got to get off the mountain at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a good way to look at it. However we put that into perspective. But I think that conversations can feel really good. Anytime that we're kind of getting things off of our chest can feel really good at the same time. Because if we just clam up and isolate, then I think that we're missing, a key ingredient. So I do believe conversation about our feelings, but from an emotionally intelligent place of delivering that, is something that can be so special. And you can see who your friends are today, and really see who the connection is with, whether it's relationship, family, friend, whatever it is. Like, there is something about people showing up and kind of like lighting, some special connection in our lives that is very prominent. And then we're going to see the moon also at that same time square these nodes. So, gosh, right before eclipses, moon square the nodes, like we're starting to feel fate come in heavily. And it's trying to have us be okay, I think, with the non-attachment factor. Because part of us can want to go really attached right now. Really, things are deep, and we can attach to all these deep feelings, and some of them can feel really good and really passionate, but I think we have to look at the quality of everything and like do quality control. So there's a little bit of like quality control check on our desires, on our wants, on our connections, on, so many things that we could have emotional attachments to that, gosh, the more objective and intelligent we can be through the healing we've done, and, seeing the identifications that have come to light so far are, big stepping stones at where things are going to be identified further and further, because they're only just getting started. Like, we're about to see so much, which is helping us learn so much of, the guru within us all as individuals. So I think we have to learn to trust that and to speak to it at the same time, and to, find security in the unknown, to find security in the future is being created right before your eyes, and that it could be completely different than what you thought or what you were raised to believe. So many things are about to start changing with this eclipse season. And even just these next 20 years, like, we're just getting a glimpse here into what that's going to be like. So it's a little bit of, prelude energy. And we're also starting to see Mercury work its way up to its retrograde, which Mercury is going to go retrograde on April 21st, right? So right after this eclipse. And it's going to go retrograde at 15 degrees. So as Mercury is at 14 here and it's approaching this 15-degree mark of Taurus, we're also getting the prelude and the glimpse into the future as well. And why is that 15-degree mark important? Well, it's going to be opposite a lunar eclipse that's going to be at 15 degrees of Scorpio. And Uranus stationed there just went a tick under to like 14.54, 14 degrees, 54 minutes of geometry in Taurus. There's just a lot there and then having the lunar eclipse. So I think it's important to, do that quality control check, to come to our understandings, to disconnect emotionally as needed so that we can feel comfortable in the truth. And it might even be that the truth doesn't feel, very comfortable at all. I think there's a lot of strength in the uncomfort right now. So anytime we are doing things that we feel a little uncomfortable with, this is building a lot of strength for us. And it might not always be that way. It might not be that way for some people. But that means that you're just finding different identifications, and that maybe you're already more attuned to being non-attached to outcomes and to being more present now. And I think that's, an important, aspect of just the way people can be feeling on a broader spectrum. So, quite the day. Yeah, it really comes down to this new way of understanding ourselves based on the healing. And I just think we're really starting to tune into a frequency that is very, very true and very important for why we are here. And it's different than what, we thought it was a couple years ago, or even 16 years ago, or anything in between. So we got to be open to it, and not, try to run away or isolate ourselves, or go so deep into, a disconnected phase because we are having a hard time believing, what is true and this new information we've found within ourselves, or what we're getting in a reflection from others. Cards for the day are the Empress in reverse. Yeah, I feel like there is a discomfort level to today, but it's almost like you gotta go into that a little bit and realize it's not a setback. It's just helping you love yourself and nurture yourself better, and to see the reflection of yourself through whatever it is that we're, possibly connecting or relating to, and to, be accepting and loving. And I feel like that is a challenge today, because we can almost it would almost be easier to just disconnect and run from things. But I don't think that's, the case. Like, we can't be scared of going down the mountain, right? It's just a different approach. So I think there's a different approach to how we nurture ourselves on a daily basis, how we love ourselves, how we, understand ourselves, that greatly, reflects in the people that we're around. We also got the Ace of Cups in reverse. I think we're understanding that, like, we have to fill our own cups up. And I know that, Pluto in Aquarius has this, like, energy around it too that's very, like, people-oriented and tribe-oriented. But the first stage of Aquarius is individuation. We're not trying to isolate in a way that's just taking us away, or, not paying attention to emotions, or, it could feel like we're dumping all of our emotional, stuff out. And maybe it's just more within ourselves that we're starting to understand, but that's good because it's giving us room. It's giving us more room to take something in. It's almost like the chalice in our life was already full. Whether it was knowledge, whatever it was already full, and we all have to dump that glass so that we can take in more. And that's part of, I think, the identification of different layers of life that we're all starting to understand and realize. And this is so beautiful, I think, and that's why even the Empress reverse, like, there's such a beautiful transformation of self-love and nurturing and growing and the ability to create life right now. But it is in a way that does feel like we really got to empty it out before we can fill it back up. And the fill-up's coming. And the Fool card, upright, I love that. Like, there's such a journey that we're just getting started on, and I think that the more that we can be, like, naive to it, the more we can be just kind of excited. Like, there's no fear in the Fool card. It doesn't know necessarily what fear is yet. So we're all scared of some layer. How it could be deep, it could be, we're all holding on to something that's very outdated, that actually doesn't reflect where any of the new frequencies in our lives are going. And I think that's where the Fool card is so promising here. And why I feel that too, but I also feel the heaviness of these cards. And I was kind of relaying that in the astrology. But it is like, again, it's being able to empty things out because they're outdated. And everything's a new approach right now that, You know, you might think you know, but you don't. You just have to be on the journey, and you have to be present and have that sort of openness and naivety to just experience, because just when you think you know how one thing's going to go, that's not how it's going to go. Everything's going to start acting different than what we have been so locked and loaded with in life. So it's a good day to be the fool, because you're not going backwards, you're always going forwards. And that's going to be something we're going to learn over the next 20 years too, is there was never such thing. The past doesn't exist anymore. You could never go backwards. We're always going forwards. So I think we're just learning different perspectives too, and seeing the gift that is in that new perspective, and how there's just like amazing things on this journey. And there's going to be times on this journey too that give us a Tower card, the Death card. But there's the Magician, there's the High Priestess, there's the Sun, you know, the Star. So I think, you know, just open yourself up to everything that's in front of you, and realize that nothing's ever gonna, you know, we don't have to hold on to the baggage from before or from the past. So I feel like that's important. That's just kind of what came through now. So I hope that's helpful. I love you all very much. I hope you have a great Thursday. I think, if anything, this can be a very productive day into your future, and into opening yourself up to so many possibilities that life has to offer, and realizing that every day we're growing and nurturing our future into existence. So love you all. I hope you have a great Thursday. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Much love. Peace.